Well, this is not the event that I was described about 3 weeks ago when Jamie said, "Hey, we want you to come and perform at the town hall meeting." And my first thought was, I'm going to get here and there's going to be somebody going, "We need another stop sign on Pitt Street." And now, please welcome, boom, here we are. But you seem like a good crowd. You laughed at Mark's jokes, and you got most of them. So that's encouraging for me. For those of you who don't know my backstory, it is a privilege to be here. It's a privilege to be anywhere, really, because last January, the Toronto doctors gave me 2.5 months to live without a liver transplant. And I'm here by the grace of God, my wife, and our great Canadian healthcare system. I think that's one of the fundamental things that I'm the most proudest of being Canadian is our national psyche is that people have the right to good health care. And I think that's what makes us different from any other country. And we have a better healthcare system than a lot of countries. And the only thing we ask, we're willing to put up with all kinds of taxes and bureaucratic BS, lineups around the block, but the only thing we ask in return is a very small thing. We ask for the right to reserve the fact that we can bitch about it. That's all we ask. That's not too much, right? "Oh, damn it, I gotta go to the hospital. Gee, thanks. Oh, I gotta pay for parking. God! Now I gotta line up at Timmy's. What the hell? I gotta take an elevator 2 floors to get an operation. Oh, God. When is it gonna stop? What? The operation was a success. Oh, I have a second chance at life. Oh, God. I have to go back to work in 6 months. I knew there was going to be a catch to this. But thank God we have a good healthcare system. I was quite surprised when I got the call for the new liver because I'd technically only been on the waiting list for 2.5 months. And you're supposed to be prepared. Like when they phone you, they go, "You have 8 hours to get to Toronto, or else we'll have to give it to the next person in line." Like, wow. Thank God for my wife. She packed us up and drove us to Toronto in record time. But as we were going to Toronto, my brother broke the news on Facebook. And I start getting all these notifications and stuff. "Oh, God bless, good news, good for you." But something happened that I was taken back as a Canadian. It was really... I felt very guilty after this because I got a couple of emails, people saying, "The only reason you're getting a new liver so fast is because you're a celebrity. F you. F you." Yeah, really. I mean, wow. I felt really guilty until I got to Toronto and I met the transplant team. They asked me what I did for a living and I told them and they said, "Oh, really? Have you ever been on the TV?" So I'm just next. Actually, there was a lot of protocols that have to be met. Even down to the right size, blood type, viability, if you can survive the surgery at all. I mean, there's so many factors. And just how sick you are is the primary factor. It has to match up, but you have to be, sick enough to have the surgery and well enough to survive the surgery. It's complicated. But I found it interesting, though, half the people knew who I was, the other half didn't. But the half that knew who I was, they would sneak in their compliments. Like just before the operation, the anesthesiologist woman, she comes up to me and she goes, "I just want to say that my husband and I are big fans. We always watch you just for laughs. Yeah, it's very funny." And I go, "Oh, great, so you know who I am. So you know to crank that stuff up all the way. I don't want to feel a thing. My motto is no pain, all right? Crank it up, That's funny, you should put that in your skit." No, shut up, I mean it. That's it. Hey, some music would be nice. I found it very ironic when I got my new liver, and in true sense of the word irony. Irony, a lot of people think that irony is a funny coincidence. No. The textbook dictionary definition of irony is the incongruity of what is expected to happen and what does happen. It was very ironic that I got my new liver on St. Paddy's Day. Not the day you think they'd be handing out the new livers. The next day, lineups around the block. Okay, I'm done with this one. All right, like, next. But it's the one good thing you can say about Toronto is they do give good transplants. That's one thing you can say about them. My wife always says, you know, like, why do you comedians always make fun of Toronto? You always do anti-Toronto. Well, two reasons. One, they always work. You go anywhere in the country and do anti-Toronto jokes, people will laugh their ass off. It's amazing. You can do anti-Toronto jokes in Toronto, and half the audience will laugh because they know the other half are... Yeah. To tell you succinctly why we should hate Toronto, I don't know if you remember this, in the mid-90s there was a game show on CBC called The Fame Game, and it was a band competition. The grand prize was a recording contract in Toronto for all expenses paid for a year. Good prize. Every major city in Canada participated. Halifax, Moncton, St. John, you know, Montreal, Ottawa. They asked me to host the Ottawa show. That was great. And you know, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver. All the major Canadian cities participated, except Toronto. Toronto had the balls to turn to the CBC and say, hey, we're not going to go into the contest because if we do, we'll win. So we're going to stay out so you people have a chance. And that's when I went, all right, start writing the anti-Toronto jokes. I remember driving to Toronto, we saw the sign just before you get in Toronto. It says, Toronto, welcome to Toronto, Ontario's capital. And I turned to my wife and I said, I can't believe they settled for Ontario. I think the world revolves around them. Wow, unbelievable. Now, part of the reason I'm here today, Jamie, when he asked me to do this, he indicated that it was not just a comedy show. That, you know, I was here to talk about awareness, education aspect of the liver disease. Right now, I mean, I got my liver disease because I contracted Hep C. For those of you who don't know what Hep C is, hepatitis C, there are more people right now infected with Hep C than AIDS. It's a little known fact, and it's something that our generation, anyone from 45 to 65, should be mandatory tested for Hep C. It's amazing. Now, a lot of people assume that I got my contracted Hep C through intravenous drug use, and I am an ex-addict. Well, not ex-addict, I should clarify that. I'm a former addict. Ecstasy actually was a drug that came around after I quit. Drugs. Yeah. That's how you can tell you're getting a little old, when there's a drug out there that you've never done. Oh, what's that? What? Ecstasy? Oh, no, I never did that one. Oh, it looks good. Look at all the kids falling down. Oh, yeah. What's that? You love everything? Oh, that sounds like a great drug. Honey, we quit too soon. Thing about drugs, though, when you get older, you just don't have time for drugs. Right? I mean, acid, LSD. Who has 12 hours in a row? Gotta be at work in an hour. Right? Gotta pick up the kids at 3:30. There's no way. The walls are melting. No, they're not melting. No, it's just the drug. It's just the drug. No. If the walls were melting, the janitors would be cleaning it up. Get in the kids. Get the kids in the car. Shut up. I obviously can't stand here and condone any drug abuse, even with the medical marijuana. I agree with it, but there are people that use that as an excuse. Yes, I have a problem. Marijuana will solve it. Yeah, sure. But you can tell all the retail people are into it. Yeah, we should legalize it because they'll buy all my food. Strong lobby from the business community. But the thing about I can't condone any drug abuse, but you have to admit, give credit where credit's due. Acid, you got your money's worth. Right? $1 for 12 hours? I mean, come on. $1 for 12 hours and 2 free trips at any given moment? Call them flashbacks? Oh, sorry. Of course, it did have its drawbacks, being chased home by a mailbox. What's your postal code? Other than that. Yeah. It's true, though, that about medical marijuana. I forget the name of the drug. I believe it starts with a D, but there's the THC, and then there's the other. What's the other drug? Yeah.
CBD.
That's the one that is really making headway. There are people in the United States right now that are afraid because they found out that that drug, not the THC, the other drug, that's the drug that helps a lot of people, especially kids with seizures and stuff. So they had this one example. There was a woman, her kid had seizures like 5 times a day, every day. And they got some medical marijuana, and the kid didn't have a seizure for a month after the first joint. Man, that's amazing. That's a breakthrough. But the key is they have to buy the pot that is not selling well, because they have to get the pot that's low in THC and high in the other drug. That's the key. That's what you want. But they're afraid now because the federal government could come in and bust them for selling pot to minors. That's the whole problem. So the legalization thing is a very important thing. But a couple of things that if you're going to walk away today knowing anything or remembering anything I say, the important thing is to get tested for Hep C. It's 2 blood tests that take 5 minutes. It's as simple as that. And you could avoid everything that I had to go through. I mean, it took me a good 6.5 months to get back to even doing comedy again. There was plenty of times where if there would have been a gun on the table, we wouldn't be talking. It's as simple as that. And by grace of God and my wife who stood by me, I've been married for 25 years. Marriage is great. The only piece of advice that you need if you're about to get married is, the only piece of advice is don't marry an asshole. Simple as that. That's the key. Spend some time, find out, no, you're not the one, or yes, you're the one. But if you find the right one, it's amazing. But, there's so many comedians that talk about things that guys should learn from women. They always miss the primary thing. The primary thing that I think that men should learn from women is how to flip out properly. Right? And think about it. Women, when they're abused, they only go after the people who hurt them. Men will kill anyone in the general area. That's not right. It's never a woman on top of the tower going, there's one that kind of looks like this. It's never a woman walking into McDonald's, my husband won't touch me. Just came in for a salad, what the hell? But men, some men just don't get it, they just don't get it. There are men on this planet that no matter how many seminars you make them attend, how many pamphlets you make them read, how many times you try to educate them, there is always going to be those guys that sit there watching a sensitive documentary on breast cancer and they'll go, ooh, tits. These are the guys we should take to a field and just go, all right, tell me about the rabbits again, George. Hollow point behind the I know it's a kind of a controversial program to get behind, but you're killing them? I don't know about that. It seems anti-Canadian to me. I mean, of course, we'd save some for professional sports. But, cut back on that. But other than that. But yeah, thank God my wife was there to help me all the way through my recovery, because there were times, I don't think they prep you enough when you go in for any transplant. Like, for example, for 4 months, my taste buds were shot. After 4 months, the only thing I could be blindfolded and tell you from the taste what it was ice cold grape juice. So no wonder I went from 240 pounds to 153 at my lowest. Now, The bright side of that one is I didn't have to diet or exercise or do nothing, but it's not a weight reduction program that I would recommend enthusiastically to everybody. And there was other things like my sleeping patterns, because I'm also bipolar manic depressive. Now, any fellow outpatients? Yes, there you go. Bipolar manic depressive, which is, God's favorite humor is irony. What a perfect disease for a comedian to have. Right? They like that joke, they didn't like that joke. They like it. As fast as that sometimes. Sometimes I wake up, what a beautiful day to kill myself. Bipolar manic depressive. A lot of people think that I have a full plate, when it comes down to it. Ex-drug addicts, bipolar manic depressive. I suffer from migraine headaches, now a liver transplant. Oh, and I also suffer from a mild form of Tourette syndrome. But it's only when I watch hockey or I'm driving. Some guy sitting there going, I think I have that too. When I watch hockey, boy, I can't stop. And the wife's sitting there going, yes, you do. Yeah. And I have to apologize. Like, so far, I haven't slipped up, but I have to apologize because there's kids in the audience. If I accidentally swear, I apologize ahead of time. Try not. But that's another thing that Jamie didn't tell me. That'd be Town Hall comedy show, and that kids. What? There goes half the material. You kids today. Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes I've had interesting situations with the language thing. I remember one time in Florida, I was doing a show. It's true that the average age was about 75 years old. I mean, literally, people with walkers and IVs and stuff. They were coming in, and the guy the guy hired me before the show. He said, "Please, Mike, don't swear, don't say the F word. Whatever you don't say the F word." And I walked out there and I said, "Oh, folks, it's great to be here, but the guy who hired me, he was so adamant about me not saying the F word. But what the hell, I'm going to say it. Funeral. Boom." And it was that one guy in the polyester suit after the show going, these people have the stick up their ass. They don't know what's funny. You're funny, kid. Walking Dead. Yeah, that's okay. So I was that one cool guy at the phone. I have a habit of really putting my foot in my mouth when I meet celebrities, And sometimes I actually like to break their balls because, sometimes they deserve it. One time at the Just for Laughs festival, there was a guy named, I forget his real name, but he played the character Pussy in the first year of The Sopranos. Remember that? That guy, big fat guy, he was whacked in the first season. But he was at Just for Laughs, and they hired him to MC the Goomba show. It was all Italian comics, it wasn't a big brain leak there, to figure that one out. But he's standing there in the hallway, and I see him, and I go, huh. And I walk up, and he's nodding, he's going, because all these people are asking for autographs and stuff. So I walk up, and I go, oh man, this is such a thrill to meet you. The Godfather, one of my favorite movies of all time. And without a beat, he goes, I wasn't in The Godfather. I know, but it's one of my favorite movies of all time. That's when you can do it to somebody. If you meet a celebrity, do that one. I love doing that one. I remember meeting James Taylor at an airport. I saw him waiting for his bags, and I walked up and I said, oh man, James Taylor, this is amazing. Bridge Over Troubled Water, one of my favorite tunes of all time. He goes, I didn't write that. I know, but it's one of my favorites. And the funny thing was, he still kept going, but I didn't write that. And then I had to explain what I was doing to it. And then at the end I said, sometimes it'd be nice if you had a friend that got the joke. Another funny thing that I love doing is when